Chris, what is our second main topic today?
Our second topic comes from Terry Lanza. So I saw the Oscar announcements, and at first I thought it was a good set. Until I saw more into the Best Actress nominations, and oh boy, do I smell a scandal brewing with Andrea Riseborough. Not only basically has no one heard of her film, but she cut corners by using her celebrity friends to influence the nominations so she could get one inexpensive Viola Davis and or Danielle Deadwyler. What do you think about this, and how do you think the potential blowback this may have moving forward with Andrea's career and with Oscar and awards campaigning?
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in, Terry. And, you know, I knew we had to address this today because there's a couple of things here. Number one, there's some massive incorrect misinformation being spread around about this that Deadline pointed out, and I'm glad they did. We'll get to that in just a second. But it also brings up an interesting question about who should get a nomination. And, you know, if you think this human tendency we have that when it comes to subjective stuff like art and performances, that if somebody you didn't think deserved the nomination got over somebody did, then the only possible explanation could be, other than other people just had a different opinion than you, was there must be a secret, sinister underbelly. Really? It couldn't just be that other people thought differently than you do? No. Only explanation is some dark, sinister thing. Look, you probably saw a headline going around a lot about that the Academy has launched an inquiry into this over the Andrea Riseborough situation. Andrea Riseborough ended up very surprisingly getting an Oscar nomination for Best Actress for her movie To Leslie, a movie none of us have seen. No, it made $27,000, not $27 million, made $27,000. Ain't nobody seen it. Nobody watched it, right? However, there's this thing started going around that the Academy was launching an inquiry into her nomination. Listen to me. That was not true. Deadline pointed this out themselves. The longtime entertainment veteran, Pete Hammond wrote an article on this. And because of this, here's where it basically started. We can go over to my screen for a second if you want to, Jonathan. The Academy, what they did do is they put out this statement. And here's the statement they put out. And I want you to notice there is no mention of To Leslie, Andrea Riseborough, but this is the statement they put out. The Academy said, it is the Academy's goal to ensure that the awards competition is conducted in a fair and ethical manner, and we are committed to ensuring an inclusive awards process. We are conducting a review of the campaign procedures around this year's nominees. Not one, this year's nominees, to ensure that no guidelines were violated and to inform us whether changes to the guidelines may be needed in a new era of social media and digital communication. We have confidence in the integrity of our nomination and voting procedures and support genuine grassroots campaigns for outstanding performances. So it basically, I'm going to sum up what Pete Hammond says in his article. Again, a veteran entertainment industry correspondent and journalist. And he basically wrote this too. He goes, look, and we'll go back to my screen here for a second. This is where it gets kind of difficult. Peter Hammond wrote, I choose not to put words in the Academy's mouth in our headlines. Academy conducting review of campaign procedures days after Oscar nominations revealed. But every other trade did. Maybe they got more because of it, more clicks. Unfortunately, some people only read the headlines and jump to conclusions. Here's a sample. This is other trades with their headlines. Academy investigates Oscar campaign process related to Andrea Riseborough's To Leslie nomination. Or Academy conducting a review after Andrea Riseborough's surprise Oscar nomination. Or Film Academy conducting a review amid questions about Andrea Riseborough's campaign. Okay, so here's the thing. Nothing in the Academy's statement said anything about Andrea Riseborough or the To Leslie nomination. What it does say is that we may need to take a look at the way our rules work in a new era of social media, digital communication, all that kind of stuff. Now, Pete Hammond, who I am relying on him here because he knows the industry better than I do, and he's actually thoroughly investigated the situation. I have not. But one of the things Pete Hammond is pointing out was that as far as he can tell, no rules were broken, right? That there are certain members of SAG who realized people never saw this work. Who is the star of Underworld again? Kate Beckinsale. Kate Beckinsale called it, no, Kate Winslet. Sorry. Kate Winslet called Andrea Riseborough's performance in To Leslie.
I think it's Riseborough.
Riseborough?
Yeah.
I've been saying Riseborough. Thank you for correcting me. Riseborough, thank you.
I think, yeah.
Kate Winslet, multiple award nominee and winner and all that. One of the great actresses of our generation said this about Andrea's performance in To Leslie. She said, "It is the greatest performance I've ever seen." That's Kate Winslet saying that. Now, long before the Oscars, long before the Oscar nominations, long before that, one of the few recognizable trades that saw and reviewed the RogerEbert.com, you know, obviously Roger Ebert's not with us, but it's still an ongoing, well-respected movie. They called Andrea Riseborough the performance of the year. Now, nobody saw it, but I'm just saying, you have to understand, before there was ever any Oscar nomination, there was talk by the terribly finite number of people who saw it that this is either the best performance of the year, and some, like a Kate Winslet, saying, this is the best performance I've ever seen. Now, like everybody else, I had never seen the movie. And Christian Harloff was in here last week. He has seen the movie, and he had a chance to interview Andrea. And when we talked about who should win the Academy Award, like Christian was steadfast. He goes, Andrea Riseborough? Riseborough. Andrea should win. I'm like, that's interesting. I'm like, are you just, and I talked to him out. I talked to Christian. Are you just saying that because you interviewed her? He goes, dude, I'm telling you, I watched the movie because I was going to be interviewing her. It's the best performance of the year, I think. I'm like, better than Cate Blanchett. And he goes, I think it's the best performance of the year. Okay, so last night I decided I'm going to sit down after Last of Us and I'm going to watch this movie. A couple of pleasant surprises. I had no idea that Mark Maron was in it or Allison Janney was in it. I had no idea these people. This is clearly a low budget film made with passion, all that kind of stuff. And I need to see what the hype was about. And I know this is going to get me in hot water, and I don't give two shits. She 100% deserved a nomination for Best Actress this year. I'm not saying Viola Davis didn't. I'm not saying Danielle didn't. I'm not saying who gets nominations is not about who didn't deserve a nomination. That's never what it's about. The only thing I ever care about when I look at nomination lists is, did that person's performance earn themselves in a subjective art, but did it earn them a nomination? I will tell you right now, while I was scratching my head a little bit and kind of pushing Christian on it a little bit, after I actually watched this movie, which I admit I never did before, I never even heard of the damn film before this whole thing started kicking up. I sat down and watched this thing with my jaw in my lap. What she does in this movie, she is showing what a truly powerful world-breaking performance can do to even a small-scale film like To Leslie. And it's a very small-scale film. Woman wins the lottery, changes like what happens when the good times run out and all that kind of stuff, and wrestling what that means for her life. Listen, I'll tell you what. After watching this, I am 100% convinced the only people making a controversy out of her nomination are people who did not see the movie. Because it's all art, it's all subjective, we're all going to have different opinions, yes. I'm just telling you, I have a hard time believing somebody watched this movie and didn't at least come away with, well, okay, maybe she deserved a nomination, because it's that damn good. Now, according to Pete Hammond, he's saying that the way the rules are stated, no rules were broken. Individual actresses, like Gwyneth Paltrow or Jennifer Aniston, were saying, like, listen, guys, saying to their fellow SAG members, their fellow Academy members, you have to watch this movie. And they would have people come over to the house and watch the movie. Pete Hammond points out in his article, there's no rule saying you can't invite people over to watch a movie to make sure they've seen the movie. Right. Apparently there was nothing about, you must watch this movie and vote for Andrea for Oscar. No, there's like, you got to see this movie. And now maybe the Academy is like, hey, you know what? Maybe we need to look at our rules moving forward. How do we accommodate and compensate for the fact that it is a digital world now, social media? Do we need to make changes? I get that. But again, it doesn't look like any rules were broken. And at the end of the day, the only damn thing that matters to me are the people getting the nominations. Did they actually turn in a performance that was worthy of a nomination and not some piece of garbage where it's going to force us to go, how the hell did this happen? Andrea turned in. I would personally still give the award to Cate Blanchett. I would still give it to Kate. But I'll tell you what, if this was a movie that more people saw, it would be a 2-horse race, I think, between Cate Blanchett and Andrea. It's that good, this performance. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. If saving more and spending less is one of your top goals for 2023, why are you still paying insane amounts of money every month for your phone bill? Switching to Mint Mobile is the easiest way to save money this year. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton, with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. Guys, I have told you before that when I was on one of the major phone carriers, I was spending literally 3 times as much every month, and switching to Mint Mobile couldn't have been easier. So for people just looking to save some extra money this year, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily in just minutes with eSIM. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. Anyway, Rob, we've been seeing a lot of stuff over the weekend about this. What do you think about it?
Well, first of all, I haven't seen the movie, but I watched the trailer on Saturday. Dude, you can see from the trailer what kind of a performance that she gives, because it isn't ostentatious. You get a sense of the story. And, you know, she, by the way, as an actress, I've always loved her. She was Tom Cruise's half of his effective team in Oblivion. Like, you'd never know. You'd never know that this is the same actress. And every time she's ever done a film, she has done nothing but turn in amazing performances. No, I'm sorry that I haven't seen To Leslie, because I really wanted to see it after watching the trailer. But, you know, comparing and contrasting, like, there's a really ugly undercurrent about this situation that I don't like. I mean, that's not to take away from, I love Viola Davis. Love Viola Davis. But for The Woman King, there are other things about that film that might have prevented it from getting a nomination for her as an actress. And it's not her performance, because she's great in it. And the same is true of Danielle Deadwyler in Till. I've seen Till. Till has a great central performance. I don't think the movie is as good as it could be. And that doesn't take away from her performance, but it takes away from the overall perception of the movie. And I think that a movie like this, when you don't have, it's basically just her on camera. And you know what? Like you said, Mark Maron's in there, Allison Janney's in there. I didn't know either until I watched the trailer. But you can see she's front and center. There's no special effects. It's just her. And she's got a, how do you portray a mother that has a problem with her son and dealing with the life? She's an alcoholic and dealing. If her performance isn't compelling, nothing about that movie works. And the people like you, I've talked to a few other people that have seen the movie, and everyone I've talked to who's seen this movie can't believe the performance, that it carries the whole thing, that it's stunning. And, you know, I think back, it's kind of like when I saw Nicolas Cage's performance in Leaving Las Vegas.
So good.
Dude, I never thought a movie about a guy drinking himself to death would make me want to drink. That's how good the performance was. I mean, and it was incredible when you're watching a tour de force, when an actor is front and center 24/7 in a movie. If they can do that without any kind of histrionics, it's just them front and center. You got to look hard. And those are the performances that really, in a way, Frances McDormand in Nomadland was like that, where she was.
You know, that's a very comparable performance, actually.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, when I saw that, you couldn't take your eyes off her, and there was no special effects in that movie. You're watching the camera watch this woman, and I found it unbelievably compelling.
And by the way, one of the things that really frustrates me, because part of this narrative we've heard, and again, before last night when I hadn't seen the movie, I haven't really known what to make of it. But now that I'm looking at, one of the complaints we've been hearing a lot of people say is, well, this Andrea nomination bumped out Olivia and bumped out Danielle. Really? Let's bring up my screen for a second, Jonathan. Really? How come we're saying Andrea was the one who bumped it? Why aren't we saying that Ana de Armas bumped them out? Why aren't we saying Michelle Yeoh bumped them out? Why aren't we saying Michelle Williams bumped them out? Oh, you know why? Because we didn't see To Leslie. We didn't see it. So she didn't deserve it. I mean, that's very, very telling. That, guess what? Here's the thing. Once you watch this movie, you're not going to be saying Andrea was the one who bumped out, you know, Octavia Spencer. You're not going to be saying that. You're going to have to change the name. because I think, again, it's all subjective, absolutely, but I think Andrea's name is right up there near the top with Kate and Michelle. Because, and listen, I love Michelle Williams' performance. I think she deserved a nomination. I love Anna de Armas' portrayal in Blonde. I think she deserved a nomination, but I don't think the narrative should be Andrea bumped out. No, maybe somebody did, but it wasn't Andrea. Anyway, Chris, you're, as a member of SAG, and as somebody who's been involved with the awards competition at SAG on a board level and on a committee level, you've been seeing all this transpire, I'm sure, with some interest. What do you make of this whole thing? Well,
it's really interesting because when you're on the nomination committee, you are invited to all of these screenings for little films that a lot of times go very, very much unnoticed. There was a really beautiful, I'm going to blank on the name of it because we're live. There's a really beautiful film with Benedict Cumberbatch last year that was all about the artist who painted those kind of psychedelic cats who ended up penniless because he didn't buy his own patent. He didn't trademark his art. And so then his art got reproduced and he died alone in a mental institution. It was heartbreaking. It was a beautiful, beautiful performance. And anytime, The Electric Life of Louis Wayne, there we go. Anytime I talk about that movie, people are like, what's that? I don't even know what that is. And so you do usually have very, very little films. To be clear, people in the chat, I was not a judge. I was on the nominating committee, which is a whole bunch of different people in there. I wasn't the one who was like, and the award should go to this person.
Chris decrees.
That wouldn't make any sense. They randomly select members from SAG each year. So lots of times you do have these kind of little indie films that, with the right campaigning, can make it. I do want to point out, though, there is the possibility, and Variety reported on this, of their online social media campaign could have violated some of these rules for how campaigns should work. You are not supposed to laud your performance over anyone else's, basically, in any of your marketing. And they chose to use a snippet from Roper that talks about how, while he thought Cate Blanchett was amazing in Tar, this chameleon-like performance here exceeded any and all expectations and was so wonderful. And since they put that with some of this other marketing materials saying that she should be up for consideration, that's one of the things they're looking into. Now, does that feel a little bit like they're grasping at straws? Kind of. I feel like I'm with people like Christina Ricci who have said that this feels a little elitist to say that, you know, because I didn't know about this campaign, this nomination shouldn't bear any, you know, credit. But at the same time, I do. Oh, Logan just texted me. It's Electric Life of Louis Wayne too. I do think that Danielle Deadwyler not getting a nomination feels very odd because that performance was incredibly heartbreaking and moving. And again, that was another kind of, is this tiny movie going to make it? Because that was another one that, you know, a lot of people I knew didn't want to go see that film because it's a hard watch. It's a difficult subject matter. It's a look at our own really, really ugly and horrific history. So that was more of my issue here of, oh, well, I haven't seen that other film, but wow, Danielle didn't get that nomination? Interesting. Okay. I definitely still need to see this. I've heard amazing things about it. I understand why people think it's odd. There's nothing illegal about it at this point, in my opinion. Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up, because we go to my screen too, that Christina Ricci comment, because like they also ran, Christina Ricci came out pretty harsh on this about the fact that Andrea's nomination is getting any backlash at all. She says it's shameful. But again, you know, because to me, if you wanted, and listen, every year there's going to be 6, 7, or 8 performances, whether it's lead actor, lead actress, supporting actress, supporting actor, that you could go, man, that person really could have got a nomination. I mean, every year. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast, right? The one big question mark to me, while I loved Michelle Williams in Fabelmans, loved her in Fabelmans, she was not a lead actress in that film. She was her character was a supporting character in the film. Now, was she, of all the female roles in the film, was hers the lead of the yes, but that's not the question. Her role in that film was not a lead performance. Michelle Williams should have been slotted under the best, the studio should have put her under best supporting actress. So I think if there's any kind of wiggle room there for somebody that maybe shouldn't be there to make room for one of these other deserving people, maybe it's that one. It ain't Andrea.
Do you know what really is sort of disappointing to me about this whole thing? All the other people that were in this movie, the director, the person who wrote it, the person who cast it, the fellow like Allison Janney, you know, like Mark Mayron, all of these people threw in the towel with them. They came together because they believed in this material, including Andrea. And all the people, the crew, the cast made a wonderful, presumably, I mean, I could just look at the trailer and go, well, that's an amazing piece of work. Made a great movie that blew people away. And an actor has to have a whole group of people to provide an environment where they can even do that kind of work. And this controversy, like so many controversies in our modern day, really takes away from the achievement that the film itself is. And it comes down to like, oh, the rest of the movie, I mean, making movies is so hard. Getting a movie like this financed, that it could have taken 10 years, who knows? But I really hate it when we take these elements out of movies and forget that a movie is a collective art form that a lot of people have come together to contribute to make happen. And I hope people remember to go watch this movie for the singular joys that it provides as a film. And I hope they go there because of this controversy and they realize that here is a movie that deserves all the accolades it's getting.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, just a little side note: it's not available for free streaming on any of the platforms right now. I had to rent it on, or buy it actually on Amazon myself. I think it's available on a couple of the other platforms as well, but I don't think it's available for free streaming.
It's not.
I looked for a free option, I couldn't find it, so I had to get it on Amazon. But I highly, if you're just a fan of great stories and you want to see one of the best performances of the year, I highly recommend that you maybe tonight sit down, go on Amazon or one of the other services and get To Leslie and enjoy. Guys, what do you think about this whole thing? Jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts.